Yeah, we're good.
You're live. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
She no like it, I don't know, but she go chop on if you give her cucumber. Walk out from Transamadi, till I let me shake her with a locumba. Baby, make her keep it solid, make her even mix some with her let her walk out. Yeah, we're good. She dey feel like da 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 da. She dey feel like da 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 da. She dey feel like da 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 da. She dey feel like da 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 da. She said to infinity,
Infinity. Yeah.
she said make her put it in, put it in. She said till infinity, oh.
This is what I could try media.
Look at my kiwa, everybody with different animal. Sangalo me like a JJ, make I treat her like I'm somebody. It's what you do with the banana. Go determine if you go get us for banana. Very much show yourself, do what you do. Use Kayamata, you feel use juju. They don't play me, you pay for artillery. You dey use collect boy salary. Make I put firewood for the fire. Send you the wire, now you are go am and I no go retire. Bedroom boys be like say you dey for the choir. Do the mean so like it do me lala. She dey feel like da 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 da. She dey feel like da 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 da.
This is
words for you. If I have to put on my health in my voice, it's for you. Ain't nobody know the cause of my matter. It's my side. Anybody underestimates it in my top. Taking my sin, on my side. If you need a fire, I'll be a water. Mr. Judge, put me on fire. If you think I hurt ya, put me underwater. Till me culture. I don't need the fire. I love you. Can you see that I love you? Whoa, can you see that I love you? Whoa, I love you.
Hamzambo familia, welcome to the Expression right here on the Black Hot Fire Network. We trust that you are doing fantastic on yet another wonderful Wednesday, being on the 13th of January, the year 2020. 2021, sorry, I almost got myself confused. My name is Spikes, and this is a show where we get to address different matters taking place around the continent of Africa. We also discuss lifestyle matters, culture, entertainment, and all things Africa right here on the Express Show. I do trust that you all well. We have a bit of a problem with the lighting, but we understand that you can still get our audio clear. If not, please do let me know. But if you can hear me clear, just key in A1 right there on the chat. Thank you so much. We do say Shukrani. And now, of course, like I said, my name is Spikes alongside my co-host Kami.
Well, good morning, wonderful family. And I do trust you are doing okay on this beautiful Wednesday morning. And I believe we are on the second week of the year 2021.
Yeah.
And I do trust that things so far so good are going the way you wanted them to be. Karibuni sana to the Express Show.
And now, of course, today we are looking forward to having an interesting show. We also do have a guest with us in the studio. She goes by the name Ivy. Karibu sana.
Hi people, my name is Ivy Saruni, other than Rebsville Queen, and I'm very happy to be in this show, and I hope we're going to give you certain information that is going to touch your hearts, your soul, your mind, and take you to a certain place.
It's actually what we are also looking forward to, and we are glad to have you in the studio Once again, I know, it has been a rainy week. Sometimes you might even have invited a guest over, alafu mvua tena inanyesha, out of nowhere, and then, the whole show gets interrupted. But nonetheless, we are glad that you are with us in studio. Asante sana. And of course, today we are looking forward to discussing matters mental health. There's so many people in Africa that do not want to have conversation about mental health because sometimes people say, oh, you are merogwa, all that, and such kind of things. These are evil spirits that are trying to attack this particular kind of an individual. And now, of course, people do not want to have that particular straightforward conversation about mental wellness. But right here on the Express Show, we shall be discussing these particular issues. And before we got started, tumekuchezea ngoma moja kali from West Africa. It's known as, Infinity, and that is Omale. I believe that is one of Kami's favorites.
Definitely, it is my favorite jam. And if anything, I can say that actually set up my year 2021. Omale, he's just going up the ladder. And I have witnessed that, in the music industry, today, when I hit, the next day, see the likes of Rema. Rema may hit, says, Rema may to elect.
He's still trying.
He's still trying, but says, all the girls will now focusing on
Omale. They want the young and fresh talent. Rema, I'm a bit. Nonetheless, please do let us know how you feel. When you're trying to compare between Omale and Rema, we would love to know who is your pick for those two particular artists. And of course, for Ivy, what kind of music do you listen to? What kind of music do you like?
Actually, music is my muse. So long as I feel the beats and it has content, I'm going to listen to it.
It doesn't matter whether it's R&B, whether it's bongo, whether it's Afrobeat.
Exactly.
It's a good thing to be versatile because some people want to lock themselves. Kama wanati wanasemanga, kama si reggae,
exactly.
But you might find some music which is not reggae that has the same important message. Because ukienda kama bongo, the people are out there doing the most. In Tanzania, the likes of Harmonize, the likes of Diamond Platnumz. I actually realized that Diamond Platnumz is, the biggest artist in terms of numbers. For example, YouTube. I believe he has about, he has a lot. I think he has the highest number of YouTube subscribers in Africa. Because if you look at maybe perhaps Davido and Wizkid, you might think these are the highest, they have the highest numbers. But Nigeria has many people. Lakini ukiangalia numbers zao, Tanzania has the most.
Diamond yani apendwa.
Diamond pia amejituma, ameenda kila mahali.
International.
And of course people are listening to his music. We might be playing a little bit over Diamond, but not for the moment. Of course, we want to get to know a little bit more about our guest for today. I would just like to give you the opportunity for you to introduce yourself. Ivy, how would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Ivy Saruni. Others know me as Rebsville Queen in relation to my blog. I'm 22 years old. I'm a proud patient of bipolar and epilepsy. And my reason for coming here today is to make people aware that even if you have a mental condition, you can still lead a normal life.
Which is actually a good thing because it's about being positive, regardless of whatever kind of a situation. They say that when life gives you, lemons. You should actually also make yourself a lemonade. And of course, continue to enjoy that. When it comes to the African context, you do find that people, like I said earlier, are very, very shy. And sometimes Kami was doing a show, and she was talking about people even getting chained, to their houses or to their seats at home, simply because people don't want to have the conversation, or simply because some people want to look at these particular people with what we call a lot of stigma. There's a lot of stigmatization for these people who do have different mental conditions. And in some cases, I do understand that some of these conditions are actually genetic. They might be passed on from one particular generation to the other generation. But nonetheless, today we shall be discussing mental health, of course, in its vast ways. For example, the bipolar. We shall also be discussing about depression. We shall also be discussing about anxiety. We shall also be talking about psychiatry and schizophrenia, because those are some of the conditions that people do get to interact with. But for Kami, I don't know, have you witnessed or come across or experienced maybe someone that have found themselves in this particular kind of a situation, maybe depression? Have you come across someone with depression, or
absolutely. I know of someone very close who got depressed, and it took time for us to understand that actually this person is depressed, because for a moment they were talking a lot. They were just weird. Let me use the word weird.
There's also withdraw. We shall talk about the symptoms.
They are violent at some point. It was becoming crazy, and it took time. The African society, they'd be like, "Hey, unaanza kuwa na tabia mbaya. You're not respecting the elders. You just." They even started saying, maybe you're using drugs, the likes of marijuana and things like that. That is why you are like that. But they happen to forget the fact that in life, as a youth especially, because this happens most of the time to the youth youth, even the working class,
Even the older.
even the older, of course, at times.
Yeah.
But for example, the youth, there's that type of a pressure given, like, hey, they want you to achieve this and this, and even your education also, not even your parents, your education also. Wewe kibinafsi unataka yani ukume achieve something, you know, you want to be the role model in the society. So yes, I have witnessed that, and it wasn't easy until at some point, you know, someone was like, hey, take this person to hospital. You might find that it's something exactly. Only for us to realize, you know, it was actually depression, and it took a lot of time for people to understand that depression is real. That depression, si urogi, si uchawi, you know, the way people are like,
what people
are like,
don't say it. You've been bewitched.
Yeah, like
actually, that's the first statement someone tells you, especially anything to do with depression. You'll find that you don't want to talk to anyone. You're becoming suicidal. Mtu anaanza kukuuliza, why would you kill yourself? You know, wanasemanga usipovaa viatu za mtu huwezi jua kitu ambayo mtu anapitia.
Till you walk a mile in their shoe. And of course, the society has been judgmental for a very, very long time. And that is why I was talking about stigmatization. You know, people want to pretend and say, okay, this does not exist, or if it does exist, people want to shy away from the matter. But nonetheless, I am delighted that you are watching us. Please do let me know, wherever you might be watching us from, please do let me know. Have you, of course, also had an experience, or do you know of anyone, of course, who has suffered, and how did they overcome this particular condition, if at all they have overcome, if at all they overcame this particular condition? And of course, also talking about, you know, things like, you know, right now things are not going on very, very well. For example, with the economic situation, and you might find people slipping into depression because, you know, they are not able to meet their needs, for example, their financial needs for the houses. Some people want to take their kids back to school, they are not able to do so. Some people want to do this and that. Even when it comes to jobs, over this COVID pandemic season, you know, people are not even able to find jobs. And all these matters brought together, they are some of the things that have contributed largely to depression. Unajua watu wanakuuliza why are you stressed out? Why is this and that happening? But of course people do not know. And like Reps was actually saying, you cannot judge someone until you have walked a mile in their shoe. And of course, talking about some of the causes for Reps, you know, because at least you have had a little bit of some understanding. Why do you think perhaps people, you know, end up getting depressed? What are some of the causes? Maybe if you might know of some.
Some of the causes, number one will be cyberbullying. That's the most cause that is going around in the youth. Another one is maybe revenge porn. Revenge porn is where your nudes get leaked. You find people interact in toxic relationships, and the best way to revenge for each other is by exposing each other's nudes. You'll also find another thing, someone wants to fit in the society, peer pressure. You want to prove to
they want to be like someone else.
You want to prove to your peers that maybe you're coming from a rich family, you can buy for them drinks. I think at the end of the day, people want just to live a fake kind of a lifestyle. I think that the society pressures at the end of the day. Unapata kuna, you know, a lot of pressure from the society because other people maybe wame make it, maybe mlikuwa mnasoma na wame make it. And then at the end of the day, you want to also show that kind of a fake lifestyle. You know, you're trying to front on them. Unataka kuonyesha pia mimi. You want to prove to people pia mimi nimeweza. Or to seek validation from people.
Yes, which I believe, of course, even is coming with social media, like you said. Unataka kuona maybe mtu ako vacation Mombasa, and you also want to go on a vacation, but mfuko yako haikubali. Or someone is buying. So you fake it. You take it. It's very, very difficult. But nonetheless, as it is, I would also like to understand from the audiences today. You know, we would like to know from you, what do you think are some of the causes of, you know, depression? Not just depression, but even these other mental disorders that are, of course, facing the community today. We shall take a short break, and when we get back, of course, we shall be discussing more matters. But for now, we do have some music for you. Of course, this is Sauti Sol, and the name of the jam is Insecure. I believe some people, of course, have been led towards depression because of insecurity. This is Blackwood Fire Radio, 21st century.
She's so insecure, she don't make love with the lights on.
We're still on, but we're still on.
So insecure, she don't wanna talk about it. And I'm so insecure, one day she leaves me, and she find another guy who make her happier than I.
Insecure.
crash and burn. Hope we see the light. I hope we see the light.
Welcome back to the Express Show right here on the Black Hot Fan Network. We trust that you are not feeling insecure for having missed out some of the shows that we have been doing right here on the Express Show. But nonetheless, we want to welcome you back to the show. My name is Spikes, and of course, we are having a conversation with the one and only Ivy Saruni, as well as my co-host Kami. And of course, I don't know, among some of, I would like to know for Kami, what are some of your favorite Saudi Soul songs apart from Insecure? I know Insecure is really jamming, but what are some of your other Saudi Soul jams?
Let me start with the Midnight Train.
Yeah.
It was amongst the latest, and
Yeah.
I think that was the title of the album, Midnight Train.
Yeah.
We do have Susanna.
Yeah.
We do have there's this Kuliko Jana. It's
Yeah.
also an amazing jam.
Yeah.
We do have Surayako.
Yeah.
Oh my! So it is all I think. Every time these guys get to sit down, it's just amazing. There is a lot of songs that I could get to them about Sautisol, and
Yeah.
I can say that every time they come out and produce a song, that is release a song,
Yeah.
it is creative. Si kama wasanii wengine unaona ati today they are producing music as in ile kukimbia produce an album.
Yeah.
And when you get to listen to the album, it's actually work. But for these bands,
They take their time. I think they take the time. I don't know if Ivy has any of our favorites by Saudi Soul.
Of course, Sautisol is one of my best artists, and I think I'll also say Midnight Train. There's Lazizi, there's Nerea, there's this one for Rumba,
Rumba Japan.
That one.
And now, of course, I think Saudi Soul have been representing Kenya. In Kenya, they are the highest in terms of numbers. If you're looking for any band that has, the highest numbers of subscribers on YouTube, Saudi Soul is the number one, and that shows, it's not just about, talking. They also have the numbers on the ground. And nonetheless, today we're talking about mental health, and we wanted to highlight a little bit some types of mental health disorders, and some of them, like we had mentioned earlier, is anxiety. And we also talked about depression. We do have clinical depression, and of course, this affects the behavior of the individual. They might be erroneous. I think we call it erroneous kind of a behavior. You might expect, and also erroneous as well. You might also have someone, trying to, you should be acting this kind of a way, but now they're acting on the reverse, which is something that people should also be on the lookout for. There's also bipolar disorder, like we mentioned earlier, and of course, this is associated with episodes of mood swings, and of course, ranging from depressive lows to maniac highs. There is also, like I said earlier, the anxiety. This, of course, is characterized by feeling of worry. People are not knowing what will happen to them. I think the anxiety might also come from some traumatic experience. Someone might have, of course, been involved in some kind of an attack. For example, in rural Kenya or in some other different places, there's sometimes we do have community ethnic conflicts. And some houses are burned down, and these children, of course, at some point they might also get these kind of experiences, anxiety disorders, because maybe there was an attack in their village. Not even those, you might even have an accident, maybe a car accident, a car crash, and something like that. And these might all contribute to the individual, witnessing or facing these kinds of incidences. We also do have dementia. We all know that dementia, of course, is characterized by interference with the way the brain works. Sometimes you're trying to remember something, or you might even have short lapses of memory lapses. You're trying to remember something that did happen in the morning, and then someone's asked you, then you're telling them this story, then at the other minute, someone, in a wider perspective, someone was actually saying that, the President-elect Joe Biden has dementia. Someone was actually saying that he might be talking about something, and then he loses his thought. He actually loses his thought process, and then everything goes. It's not consistent. He might be talking about some army, going to Iraq. Then the other minute he's talking about some votes getting lost, don't know where, and it's crazy. But nonetheless, that is for the US to deal with, and they actually did. I understand. For me, from what I understand, perhaps there might be been some discrepancies or some things not going right with that particular election, according to me. But nonetheless, I will not talk about that. We also do have the ADHD, and of course, this is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. These, of course, also, I believe also interferes with the attention difficulty. Someone might not be able to have a clear.
It relates with bipolar.
Yeah. It's also related with that. And sometimes there is impulsiveness. Sometimes there's also hyperactivity, and all these things when connected, they also affect the way someone behaves and the way someone thinks, and even the way someone talks. It affects that to a very, very big extent. There is also OCD, which is of course the obsessive compulsive disorder, and this is linked to excessive thoughts. Excessive thoughts that lead to repetitive behavior. You might see someone. There's someone actually saying, there was a very, very good, nice quote I remember. I think all of us have heard it. Someone actually once said that madness is repeating the same thing and expecting different results. I don't know if you've heard the same thing.
Exactly.
But sometimes people might do the same thing. People might do the same. I think this also has to do with addiction. I think it's also closely related to addiction, because you're doing the same thing, and now
like
you're
alcoholism. You're trying to drink today, you won't drink the next day.
And the thing is, I think even alcoholism might have also lead to some of these particular issues. I think drug addiction might lead to depression. It might also lead to, because if you're not able to get the drug today, maybe you're hooked onto coke. And you're not able to get that particular drug today, that means eventually you might become depressed.
That is why some people who maybe, let me use an example. I've heard about some people smoke marijuana, especially during the festive season.
Yeah.
If your plug has gone home and you do not have anyone to support you with marijuana, there is that tendency of, you just paranoid, you just can't function, you just can't function exactly without it. So at times it's crazy. So you are definitely correct to say that. If you are addicted to a substance, I can't do without it, I can't function. For example, some people can't function at all without marijuana. They can't.
Others, alcohol. Have you seen people shake? Their hands shake. They have gone into a situation where they're not able to operate.
Having chills, you feel someone is feeling hot and cold at
the same time. It's crazy, but nonetheless, I think that also goes hand in hand with withdrawal symptoms. Someone is also connected to that. But there is also PTSD, which is a post-traumatic stress disorder. Like I said earlier, someone might have witnessed something traumatic, and even right now, in their mind, it rattles every now and then. And there is also autism. Autism, of course, is you're not able even really to communicate. It impairs the ability for someone to communicate or interact. And like we said earlier, there's also schizophrenia, and these are some of the conditions. I want to thank everyone that is watching us so far. We are just highlighting some of the types of the disorders. And for Ivy, of course, for you have had an experience with the bipolar. When were you diagnosed with a bipolar condition?
I was diagnosed with bipolar. There is type 1 and type 2.
Yeah.
So for me, mine is bipolar disorder type 2.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed on December 29th.
Yeah.
And this was
last year.
Last year, 2020. And this was after a very breakup with a toxic person.
Yeah.
So I started having withdrawal symptoms. Stress, depression, and I attempted suicide again for the third time. So my family decided to take me to hospital, and that's when the psychiatrist diagnosed me with bipolar disorder.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that, but I do believe that bipolar is manageable. Most of these conditions are even not talking about mental health. Apart from the families that have been deserted, someone might fall sick and the family deserts them. They don't want to follow.
Or you get disowned.
Or you get disowned because they actually say we are machize and they just leave you alone. But for you, of course, you are lucky you have a supportive family, and the supportive family was able to, of course, give you the attention and the medical support that you, of course, needed to get. But how about the how do you manage? Not really the management over the condition. How really do
the management
manage?
Is by taking drugs.
Yeah.
Someone with my condition, you're supposed to avoid alcohol and any other drug. You're supposed to avoid environments which would trigger your mania episodes. Mania episodes is whereby you're extremely sad, extremely angry, extremely hyper. For mine, bipolar type 2 is all about mood swings. At this point, we're talking, I'm sad, the next moment I'm angry. But for me, I discovered I'm not yet familiar with it since it's a new condition. But the condition I'm familiar with is epilepsy. Since I was born with it. So for epilepsy, I know what triggers my seizures, which is number one, stress, not eating enough food, overworking myself, too much cold, too much heat, not taking my medication, the electric lights, and also the automobiles. For me, I'm not supposed even to drive a car on my own because I can cause an accident or any automobile.
Okay, those are some of the things I understand that of course have been also uncommon. Of course, most of the patients suffering these particular conditions. But one thing I do believe is that even having being in the right environment, you might be in an environment people are stressing you, and this might also trigger you, but also being in the rightful environment also does a lot of help, because you are not consistently stressed out, someone yelling at you, someone doing this and that, and then things actually go all the way south.
And for Ivy, I would love to say that, it feels good actually to come out about this. Many people are actually in that shell, like, oh, the public is going to judge me, or my family doesn't maybe want me to speak about it. But for you, I love for a fact how strong you are in this, and even for a person to walk into the room right now and you tell them that we are going through this, they'll be like, no, it doesn't actually happen. And this brings me to this question. The first time you attempted, to be suicidal, what was the take of like your parents? I mean, did they be like, maybe Ivy is trying to be rebellious and things like that? How was it the first time before they got to like understand like our child actually is going through something and we need to get assistance?
Okay, one thing is I have a supportive family, and I thank God for that, and they know my character. They know I've always been hyper since I was a kid. So what they realized, my first time actually attempting suicide was back in high school when my seizures became worse, and I was getting bullied because of my condition. That was the first time. The second time was in 2018 when I was also in a relationship, and the nigga, after to break up, akaamua to leak my nudes. I got cyberbullied, I became depressed, and then the final time again was because of a relationship. So my family noticed that there's consistency in these suicidal attempts, and that's when I was taken to, it's called Chiromo Mental Health Hospital.
I think I've heard of it. I think I know someone who actually recently also went to visit the same place because she's bipolar. I have a friend who's also bipolar, and she was also, I think that was last week. I hope she actually got discharged, because again last week she was telling me, of course, she was referred, she was in Karen Hospital, and then she was referred to Chiromo. But nonetheless, we shall take a short break. When we get back, we shall be discussing matters on ways in which we can tackle mental health. And now, of course, this is the expression right here on the Black Hot Fire Network. We get back to some wonderful music, and of course, the name of this particular song is No Stress, because one of the things that actually causes depression is stress. But nonetheless, this is Whiskey. The name of the song is No Stress. When we get back, we shall have this wonderful conversation, and we hope you shall not touch that dial.
I got the pretty lady with no life, no stress. She got her own, but she needs some love. She got her own, but she needs some love. She tell me, say, I'm only with it, make her love. Let me say, I'm only with it, cool as stress. She tell me, say, I'm only with she want. She tell me, say, I'm only make her calm. She tell me, say, I'm only keep her warm. Mind now, I'm about to be wine night. She tell me, say, my love, make a wine night. She tell me, say, my love, make a climax. She tell me, say, I'm only make a move, right now. Yeah, your body calling me right now. Yeah, so many things in my mind now. Make it suck, make a fuck with it right now. I've been waiting for the night, where the energy is right. I'm not time to keep you right. Said to let me come alive. Say my love,
welcome back to the Express Show. That is the African star boy. He goes by the name Whiskey Dayo. all the way representing for Nigeria. We do love ourselves some Nigerian music right here on the show. But nonetheless, we are still cruising with you this wonderful afternoon. It might rain a little bit later on, but we are hoping for the moment. We keep enjoying the wonderful sunshine this particular afternoon. My name is Specs, and this is the Express Show alongside Kami and the guest for today. She goes by the name Ivy Saruni. She's a wonderful blogger, and you can also find out some of her content on her website. Kindly remind us your website. What do you call it? Link.
The website link is www.rebeccaiv.wordpress.com.
Yeah.
You can check it out in my Instagram page at Ivy Saruni.
Okay, that's a good one, because they are saying that some of the best ways to really to actually move away from the negativity is actually focus on doing something that you're very, very good at. And right now on the show we shall be talking about ways of tackling mental health. And of course, one of the ways on how you can look after your mental health, one of the things that you can do is doing something that you're really good at. I think Ivy is particularly good at writing and blogging, and that is why she has actually been doing blogging. How long have you been blogging? How long has your
4 years now.
4 years?
Wow. 4 years.
4 years, that's really a long time. And of course, some people do lack consistency. For you, I hope that you have found a way of really maneuvering and finding a way of posting
Actually, writing is my passion to an extent. I even have a tattoo for it.
Wow, that's really that's really interesting. And of course, another way of getting taking care of your mental health is really taking a break. Sometimes you might see things are not working. Maybe you're getting stressed out because of school, or maybe you're getting stressed out because of a work, or maybe a job that you just started. And one of the ways is getting a break. I think one of the best ways is really just taking a short break. Some people like to do a vacation.
Actually, that's what my family did when I was admitted from December 29th to I think January 2nd. It really helped me. The counseling, the psychiatrists, the nurses, the doctors, the food was amazing. Chiromo Mental Health Hospital is just the best place to go.
You're doing well. I'll be talking also to that lady. I hope we can also have her on the show. She's a very, very good friend of mine. And another way is eating well. People sometimes do not even eat. Some people get too stressed out, they're not even taking care of themselves. Because you need to eat. Your brain needs to have some energy, and also your body.
The first sign to knowing someone is not okay, just look at how they eat.
They eat, you will know that they are not doing very, very well.
Also, some people have, I know some people actually, if they are going through something and they just have good food, that is a solution to everything. Good food, shopping at times with yourself, pampering yourself.
Under-eating and overeating.
Exactly.
But some people also do what we do call stress eating. They say stress now, they want to eat everything they can find around them. But nonetheless,
I think there's Demi Lovato has bipolar, and that's what she was doing. Anytime she
added a lot of
she
weight.
Eats a lot.
Yeah, she has a lot of weight. And now, of course, another thing is keeping active, because if you're very, very idle, you're just there, you're just sleeping, it might affect you. You'd rather go out, take a walk, you'd rather go out, meet with some friends, you'd rather go out and do something, just keep active with whatever you're doing. I think it helps someone keep in shape mentally. There's also the issue of keeping in touch with people. Some people want to withdraw and be locked out. They want to shut everyone out.
Exactly.
I think one of the ways of actually keeping your mental health very, very well is actually keeping connected with people, because you do have a good support, family support system for some people. You might even have some friends who might be willing to listen. You might also have some people just who basically might just connect with you and help you through this particular kind of a struggle. There is also the issue of asking for help. Some people believe that they do not need any kind of a help. But when you're having these particular issues or these particular problems, I think one of the ways is really asking for help. You might say, I'm not feeling well, or I might need some assistance, I'm not doing very, very okay, because some people shy away from asking for help. But of course, it's one of the most important things to be able to ask for some assistance, and you might also be helped in that particular kind of way. Another thing is really keeping away from, that kind of an environment that triggers all these things. Like I said, even toxic environment. Because if you're getting bullied and you're always on social media, you might take a break from social media, especially Twitter.
Especially Twitter and Instagram. For example, I can say that many people, anytime they get stressed, they go post their stuff on social media. Forgetting that on social media, you do have the same type of people that you're crying to. They are the same type of people who like, you should have done this, or you are doing this, or you're too much. Exactly. Or maybe the way you've been posting on social media as the bougie one, as the the savage one, and then you're posting your problems. They'll be like, are you a savage? You're supposed to deal with this, like like a badass person and things like that. And as a result, you end up now becoming even worse. Maybe they're telling you, oh, go hit that person or do something like this. You end up actually messing yourself way bad. So at some point, it is good to keep off from social media. Like, it won't hurt. Myself personally, see, Juni, you do a single working, really contribute, but I realized.
Wacha ongea ukweli.
That's actually you, man.
Sema ukweli.
But I realized.
Tunaonea 99.
Yeah. I realized the time I kept up from social media, sikuwa na stress mingi. Unajua the moment unaingia unaona nishtamwa na.
Actually that's when you realize who really cares about you.
Exactly. Na wewe ni nani?
Nani anakupigia simu, nani anakutext.
Most of the time you think that you're connected only to find out that kutoka kwa social media no one gives a fuck. But anyway, it's like that. Nonetheless, I do want to appreciate everyone watching on the Express Show. Today we're talking about the matter of mental health and creating an awareness over some of these particular types of mental disorders. You talked about schizophrenia, talked about depression, we also talked about dementia, we also talked about clinical depression, we have also talked about PTSD, and right now we're discussing about the matter of how to tackle, to actually be well, to take care of our mental health. We said you can take a break from something. You can also, stay connected with your people. You can also ask for help if there is some problem. You can also be able to keep active. Just stay sleeping. Just keep active. And you can also do something that you are very good at. It will help you keep.
Before you take a break, Spikes, I want to take you back where you said about family. Personally, I am a very open person, especially when it comes to my family, especially my mom. I can tell her anything and everything. So I want to tell these people who if you know you're undergoing any mental health issues, the first step, talk to someone. Please talk to someone. Don't keep quiet, because the more you entangle yourself with these issues, you start overthinking. That's when you become depressed.
And
that's how you become suicidal. You start feeling like you're the only one going through it. But once you meet other people out there, you'll find that there are even people who have gone through worse, and it will encourage you to do better.
And I think even having a support group is good. Sometimes speaking out and connecting with people who also facing the same kind of a challenge will be a good thing, because now you form a group where people are sharing the same kind of things. Nonetheless, we are taking a short break. This is a peace of mind, which is very, very much important, and peace of mind, of course, goes hand in hand with mental well-being. Nonetheless, when we get back, we shall discuss more matters on the expression. This is advertising media. the best songs are actually this particular
of
time.
mind.
Peace of
It's called
mind.
peace of mind, which is very, very key. You know, if there's someone who actually said if it costs you peace of mind, then it's very, very expensive.
Cut
leave
it off.
Just leave
Got
it.
it.
If
New
if
Year's
it's too much,
resolution, cutting off.
if it costs you peace of mind, just go ahead and cut it off. This is the Express Show, and we are delighted for everyone that is tuning in. And of course, I would like to say that we do have some of the best dancers in the studio. Seems like Kami and Ivy can bust a move.
We
It
need
seems
to
like
You can try some dance competition. What does the winner get?
I don't know. We'll figure it out and I'll place it for the next podcast recording. But nonetheless, we are continuing with the conversation. And of course, there is a very, very common question that people do get to ask. You know, some people do get to ask: is nervous breakdown a mental condition? You know, so I don't know. I will be asking any of you. Do you think it doesn't have to be right? Just give me your opinion. Is nervous breakdown a mental condition? Let's come start.
You're weighing me. Okay, let me. I think for me, I can say yes.
Yeah.
There are some times you're like just extremely nervous. You know, it is a small situation, but hey, you mishtuka sana. For example, whenever I get to crossroads and then somebody hoots all of a sudden, you can't expect. I'm extremely nervous and sweating. And then you know, there was a time, you know, some friends are like, hey, I mean that is too much. You can't even drive and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not saying that. Okay. I think so. I think so because that is too much. Because for a normal person, the hooting and the things like that, those are just we are used to that in the environment. So I can say kuna
But
kitu.
there's for Ivy, what is your opinion? Do you think
For
a
me,
nervous
breakdown is more psychological and also it can be mental. For me right now, if I have a nervous breakdown, that's a serious case. But for someone like Kami, it won't be taken seriously. That's why I'm saying mental health is not all about being sick. It's also psychological. Mental is the brain. So if your brain is not functioning well, it means maybe you won't have a psychological good pattern.
Okay.
So lazima ujijue so that you know when you're okay and not okay.
Some people do not even realize when they're depressed, which is crazy.
But that's why you have other friends who will notice.
They will
you know,
you're
right now
doing
speaks
fine.
us, we know you as a good, fun person. But when you shut down, you'll start saying, hey, nini mbaya spice, kuna shida inaendelea.
And of course, you know, they're saying that, you know, nervous breakdown, of course, is not a medical term, but they're saying it doesn't mean that it's a normal or a healthy response to stress. What some people call a nervous breakdown may indicate an underlying mental health problem that needs attention, such as depression or anxiety. So it might be there's a link somewhere. Kuna connection between nervous breakdown and peer mental health. But nonetheless, we were saying that some of the ways to keep fit is actually looking at eating well, actually asking for help, keeping in touch, exercising, actually also extreme. And there's also something else I have noticed. I think also meditation. There are people who meditate. There are people who meditate.
Yoga
I think also
also.
yoga also helps someone keep fit mentally, because
there's this thing they ban nowadays, sage.
Sage. I think sage. Sage.
You bless positivity in the house. Good vibes.
Good vibes as well. I'm not sure. I think
incense also.
Burning incense. But I think also taking a walk as you're meditating also helps. You know, you don't have to sit on a mat and meditate. You can just take a walk and
especially morning walks.
Especially even morning walks.
Reflection of the mind. You wake up in the morning, you pray. You just reflect on what you want to do for the day. Even you can write down what you want to do for the day, for the week.
And of course also being positive. You know, some people are always negative with life. Kuna watu wanaonanga tu vitu zikienda vibaya.
When something happens bad, you just sit down and analyze. Is it a blessing? You know everything. I usually tell people, kitu mbaya kikufanyikia, kuna reason. God anajua. Maybe even something worse was to happen, and He's waiting for the right time. You might plan. There's this. It's even the Bible. You plan, God laughs.
True. Because at the end of it, but I think positivity helps a lot, and also being optimistic. You know, kuna watu wanaonanga tu wanasema 2020 itakuwa mbaya. Sijui story. People who are very, very negative, but I believe also optimism helps, because in keeping in terms of keeping your mind and mentally fit. Nonetheless, we are almost coming close to the end of our discussion for today. But before we do so, we shall be, playing one more jam, but we shall also be getting the feedback, the closing remarks, maybe from Kami and also from Ivy. In any environment, like kwambia, either the people listening about mental health and awareness, but then, do we have a month for mental health awareness?
It was in September,
I think
September or
September.
October.
October.
September.
Those two, I think, was in a
October is for cancer. It's for
awareness.
September.
Yes, it's probably September
September.
because there should also be some
For mental
attention
health.
also going into that. But
Yeah.
for me, I think some of my closing remarks, like I said, would be keeping positive. You know, all there is something good in every cloud has a silver lining. Because that is what they call it. Even if things are not going very well, kila mwanzo iko na mwisho. And of course, for the people who are going through these particular kinds of situations, there is some hotlines. I believe the government has set up some hotlines. There's also private institutions such as Bonga. Bonga is a place where you can just call and just speak out your matter.
National suicide number.
Yeah, there's also a national suicide number. I think the government is also stepping up the efforts in terms of there's places you can get some assistance. And also, I do believe, find an interest, something that you can also, use to channel your creative energy. Find an interest, whether be it writing, whether be it singing, or whether be it find something, of course, which can anchor you towards, getting a positive mind frame. Nonetheless, we are winding up for coming. What will be your closing remarks?
First of all, I'd love to give a round of applause to Ivy for coming out, talking about some of the challenges. It is not easy, and sometimes some people have locked themselves and it has turned out to us. And to those who are going through something, family matters a lot. For example, Ivy has a good family that is understanding, but if your family is not understanding, trust me, how to miss that one person who gets to understand you. Don't say, me leo spikes na to it's not me when you have this and this nini. But long ngoja ifike last minute ulijinyonga in the yani
there's no going back from that.
Exactly, there's no bringing you back to life, there's no reversing you. Ishafanyika. Always find that one person that you always confide in.
And also, it's very, very correct that the society stops stigmatizing people with mental challenges, because at the end of the day, anyone it can't happen to anyone.
Exactly.
You might even have an accident. You are very, very well for like maybe 30 years, and something happens to you, and then you have something goes wrong. So it's very, very common because, for example, the way people get sick can have maybe perhaps perhaps get a cold or something else. It's the same thing. It can actually also face anyone. But for Ivy, what will be your closing remarks?
My closing remarks will be, anyone out there who has my condition, let us come together, let us speak out, and let us stop being ashamed, and let's please, fellow Kenyans, stop making jokes about mental health, those memes or whatever you call them. Let's take everything seriously. The same way mnatetea watu wa disability, pia sisi watu wa mental health tunataka kueleweka na kusikika.
And also I believe the government should also put in some more effort in terms of that. Not just the government, but even the community as well, and also the private sector. We are almost winding up, but we shall wind up on this particular job. It's a throwback, and of course, if you remember Mr. Lenny, I don't know where Mr. Lenny but nonetheless, we are winding up on this particular good vibes. Till next time, I might peace and love, and of course, make sure to watch this particular episode and also share. You can also share the Express Show previous episodes. This is Black Hot Fan Network, and of course, our guest for today has been Ivy. You can find her on her blog. Kindly please remind us before you wind up.
My blog is www.rebeccaivy.wordpress.com and my IG at Ivy Saruni.
It's a good vibe, and of course, you can check us out. You can also check us out on our Black Hot Fan Network on all these platforms. We hope to see you next time. Till next time, much peace and love. This is Mr. Rennie, and the name of the jam is Juju on the Express Show.